go ahead and get started. But before we do, we just want to let you guys know that this tour is going to be a little bit over an hour, but we're going to be able to cover all about our athletics, academics, student and spiritual life here at Biola. So we're going to be able to cover a whole bunch of realm different things about Biola, really just to help you with your decision, with your college decision. So my name is Michael Ari. I am a sophomore. I'm majoring in kinesiology with a concentration in pre-physical therapy. Here at Biola, I've been involved with our multi-ethnic advancement team as well as our Biola ambassador program. And just a fun fact about myself is I actually commuted to Biola through the LA Metro train system. So that's just a little bit about me, and I'm going to go ahead and have my other ambassadors share a little bit about themselves.
Yeah, hello guys. My name is Jermaine Brack. I'm currently a junior, double major in communication studies and psychology from Akron, Ohio. So a little bit 3,000 miles away from home. A little cool fact about, I guess, myself is that I love ramen. I just eat a lot of ramen. I love it to death, authentic ramen. So yeah, I'll pass it off to Rachel Ann.
Thanks, Jermaine. Yes, ramen is so good. I also love ramen. But hi, guys. My name is Rachel Ann. I am currently in my third year here at Biola, and I'm an interdisciplinary studies major with concentrations in organizational management and communications. And here at Biola, a few things I've been involved with are student orientation services and also the Student Missionary Union, which we'll talk about later. And a fun fact about myself is that freshman year of just being here at Biola, I actually got to be an extra in one of Zach King's videos. And if you don't know who Zach King is, we'll definitely mention him later a little bit on the tour. And Anna, take it away.
Awesome. Yeah. So my name is Anna. I'm a sophomore worship arts major here at Biola. I'm also doing a Christian ministries minor. And I'm from a small town up in Northern California called Wairika. It's a little farm town, more cows than people. Super fun. And yeah, so as well as being in admissions, I'm also on one of our chapel bands and part of Adventure Club and things like that. And fun fact about me, I am going to be a raft guide this summer. So super excited about that.
Thanks, guys, for sharing. So yeah, that's just a little bit about our tour guide team and who's going to be showing you around our campus. So the whole purpose of the tour is to answer any questions that you guys might have. So if any questions do come up, please feel free to drop them in the chat and we'll try to get them answered for you as soon as possible. So right now we do have a little welcome video that we have from our president, Dr. Barry Corey, or DBC as the students call him. So we're going to go ahead and get that started for you guys.
Hi there and welcome to Biola University. I am so happy that you are here today as you consider being part of our community. I know the college decision is not easy. There are so many good options to choose from. But Biola University is a special place. The education we offer is truly unique. Here at Biola, you'll be prepared to be excellent in your career and effective in your life. You'll grow intellectually and spiritually and relationally and in your Christian character. At some colleges, students feel like nameless numbers. But at Biola, you'll be cared for, mentored, and you'll mature as a follower of Jesus. At some colleges, there is little consensus on what is true or right. But at Biola, everyone is unified in the belief that God's word is true. And Jesus is the one we follow and the one who holds all things together. This unity and focus is what makes Biola different. And it's why Biola makes a difference. Our world is desperate for students like you who are driven by something solid, something lasting, something true. This is the sort of person we educate at Biola, and this is the sort of leader you can be too. At Biola, students study film, business, biology. They study psychology and history and education, nursing, art, and so much more. And we study with the knowledge that God wants us to be relevant and redemptive voices in all of these areas. The world is the place God wants to redeem. People are hurting. And with strong faith and educated minds and professional skills, you can be the people God uses to bring hope. This is what we're about at Biola University. We're on a mission that's bigger than ourselves, and I hope you'll consider joining us at Biola University. Welcome.
That was our president, Dr. Barry Corey, and unfortunately, he is a busy man, so he can't stop by on every single tour that we do have. But we really hope that from that video, you really get a sense of who he is and his true passion, not only for Biola, but for our students as well. He said a lot of really great things in that video, but we can pretty much sum it up in one sentence, which is our mission statement here at Biola, which is biblically centered education, scholarship, and service, equipping men and women in mind and character to impact the world for Lord Jesus Christ. And today on our tour, we're going to be able to show you how that mission statement is not only implemented into our academics and our campus, but also into our community. Here at Biola, we do have a unique community of about 6,000 students, 4,000 undergrad, 2,000 postgrad. And now this is a really great number because when you're walking throughout campus, you're never really running out of new people to meet and to introduce yourself to, and just to shake hands and meet new people and broaden your horizons. But at the same time, you're constantly running into your friends and your classmates and people that you can just say, hey, what's up, and catch up with. Another really unique thing about our Biola community is that we are a 100% professing Christian community. So what this means is that 100% of our faculty, staff, and our student body is comprised of professing Christians. Now, this creates a very safe community where our students are encouraged to grow both academically and spiritually at the same time. And one of the ways that we foster the growth in both areas is through our Bible classes. Now, each and every one of our students are given the opportunity to take 10 Bible classes, which are woven into your general education courses that won't push you back anytime in graduation. But the benefit being that not only do you grow spiritually, but when it's your time to leave Biola, you not only receive the degree that you set out for, but you also receive a minor in Bible, which is just something added on and something that's really great bonus about coming to Biola. But that's just a little basis of how we're going to start our tour, and we're going to go ahead and move on to our first stop.
Awesome. Yeah. So the next stop that we're heading to is our Lymph Center. It's officially the Alton and Lydia Lymph Center for Science, Technology, and Health. We just call it the Lymph Center because that is a mouthful to say all of that at once. So this is currently Biola's newest and largest academic building, coming in at about 91,000 square feet. So a huge space for all of our STEM majors here at Biola. And this building is actually a $64 million project that is entirely donor-based. And so Alton and Lydia being the main donors, and then a bunch of other people that contributed to this building as well. So that's super special just to see the support that went into this building and the support that Biola has from alumni and so many other people as well. So just to talk a little about what you would see if we were inside this building, one of the first things you would notice is just the movable furniture that is in the lobby areas. So one thing that's really cool about this building is that it was designed with collaboration in mind. So yeah, that these movable furnitures in this picture that's loading, you can see that this furniture, you can move it around to accommodate the spaces that you're working with and the people that you're working with, which is so fun. Also, the furniture is so unique, which I love. It's just like so special to see that. Also, you can see in the top of the screen there, that TV screen that actually has wireless connectivity. So if you're working on a group presentation, you don't have to huddle around your tiny laptop screen. You can connect your computer to that and actually practice giving a real presentation, which is so cool. And then also things like whiteboard walls, the windows which make up our walls here, so all of that natural light is flooding in. It's just such a fun space to study and work, and yeah, it's a great collaborative environment to be in. So just to talk some about our academics and education here at Biola, we like to start out by saying that Biola has been ranked as a first-tier best national university by U.S. News and World Report. And there's a lot of different reasons why we think that Biola has made this ranking, which it is such a privilege and an honor to be placed on this ranking, because there's some really well-known schools that are also under this title as well. So one of the first things that we like to talk about is just the hands-on experience that Biola provides. So Biola has 40 different majors and 80 concentrations, and from what I've heard from different friends and stuff that has been in those majors, every single one provides really good opportunities to really get hands-on in your field. So in this anatomy suite here that you can see students just diving right in, and actually, instead of just studying in a textbook what you might be doing in your field, you actually get to do that yourself. And so that's seen in so many different ways throughout campus. Me being a music major, just spending time in ensembles and chapel bands and things like that provide such opportunities. And I know any of our tour guides here could say the same thing about their majors as well. But yeah, so that's one thing. Also, Biola really encourages getting hands-on experience outside of Biola as well. So in that, 90% of our students will have had an internship or participated in some kind of job or civic engagement by the time that they graduate. And also about 87% of our students will have either enrolled in grad school or gotten a job by the time they graduate, or within 6 months of graduation, excuse me. And so that just goes to show that just that way that Biola prepares our students to go into the workforce after graduation. And so that is super exciting. I feel so blessed to be part of a school that I know I'm really being prepared for life after Biola as well. So another thing too that Biola really, that really makes Biola stand out is our small class sizes. So Biola has a 14:1 student to faculty ratio, and that just means that a lot of your classes are going to be very small. To break that down even further, over 75% of our classes have less than 25 students in them. So if you come to Biola, you're going to get to know the students in your classes very well, and you're also going to get to know your professors really well too, because you're sitting in classes of 25 people instead of lecture halls of 300 or 400 people. And so our professors are so invested in taking time to really intentionally get to know their students. And that is seen in so many different ways, but the one that is most evident across all of our fields is office hours. And so our professors set aside 30% of their time for office hours, which is specifically time set aside for students to meet one-on-one with their professors and talk about school, if they're struggling with something in class, even if they just want to talk about bigger concepts that you don't get to go as deep in class. That's something that is super special. But it's even just seen in the ways that our professors really just reach out to our students and show them how much they care for them. So I have a professor whose name is Dr. Lish. He's retiring this year, which I'm so sad about. But he has just been so influential in my life, just always asking how he can be praying for his students. He always tells us that we can call him whenever we need to if we have anything going on, even if it's not school related. And so that's something that is just so special, and he's kept that offer open even while he is retiring. And so I think that is so cool, just how much he cares for his students. So so that's just a little bit about where Biola is academically, why we think that we've been ranked as this top tier best national university. But the reason that I think Biola has been on this list that is actually so unique from any other schools on this list is Biola's commitment to integrating our learning with our faith. And that is something that is so special that you don't find at a lot of universities. And so we firmly believe here at Biola that integration of faith and learning isn't a hindrance to our education, but it actually promotes and benefits our education. And so that is seen in so many different ways, but most commonly your professors will always pray with you before class. A lot of times they'll do a devotional, or even take the curriculum and really show you how your field plays out in real life, living out your faith as a Christian. And so I think a really good example of this is in our business department. There's a big sign in the lobby that says business is ministry. And so that heart of evangelism and really just living out our faith, whatever field we're going into, is so present at Biola, and something that I have just found so special. So that's been a lot of stats. Just to take a fun little break before we talk a little bit more about academics, we like to brag on some of our alumni here at Biola. So we actually have a U.S. Senator that is a Biola alumni. South Dakota Senator John Thune, he's a Biola alum, and he still spends a lot of time with our political science students, just like really showing them what life in DC is like, which is so cool. Also, Rachel Ann was talking about Zach King. If you don't know who that is, look up his videos. They're mind blowing. I cannot wrap my brain around them. But yeah, he is just makes some super fun videos, and he still is very involved with Biola students, getting them to intern for his production company and so many fun things like that. So wrapping up this stop, the last thing we want to talk about is our Torrey Honors College. And so yeah, this is our honors program here at Biola. And this is basically just another way to get your general education requirements finished. And so instead of doing the traditional route where you're sitting in lecture style classes and taking notes and all that kind of thing, Torrey students will read great books ranging anywhere from like Aristotle and Plato all the way to people like C.S. Lewis, and also studying the Bible together. They will read all of that and discuss them in small cohorts that they get placed in and they stick with for their entire time at Biola. So the other thing that's really unique about the Torrey program is that all Torrey students are assigned to a one-on-one faculty member as a mentor. And you will also stick with your mentor for the entire time you're at Biola if you do decide to be a part of Torrey. So Torrey is a great program if you really enjoy reading, if you want to get plugged into really good community and build those good relationships with your professors as well. Torrey might be a really good option for you. And so if you're interested in that, definitely get in touch with their admissions department and they would love to talk to you more about that. So we're going to pass it off to the next tour guide. But before we do, does anybody have any questions? You can drop them in the chat or unmute, whatever you want to do.
I had a question.
Yeah, go for it.
So you mentioned the 30%, my name's Joseph. You mentioned the 30% of the instructor's time is dedicated to office hours. Could you give an example of that? For example, like 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. or how would that look like?
Yeah, that's a great question, Joseph. So it really depends on the professor because all of their times are different as well. So they'll usually, if you just go to like, we operate on a thing called Canvas. And so in that, it'll either be posted on Canvas or in your course syllabus. The professor will have the times that they have available in the week for office hours. And I can't really give a good example because it's really just dependent on the
Gotcha.
time that the professors have in their day.
Okay,
Good question,
thank
though.
you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Joseph. Awesome. Yeah, and if you have any more questions, feel free to put them in the chat, but I'm going to pass them off to Rachel. I think you're taking the next stop. Awesome.
Yes, that is me. Well, thanks so much, Anna. Guys, now we are headed off to the library. This is personally a place that I spend a lot of time at. I just love the Biola Library. In addition to offering a great range of books, they also have other great resources such as Mac and PC labs. So say that you need a specific program for one of your classes and you don't have that on your own laptop, or if you don't have a laptop, you can actually go to the Biola Library and you are free to use any of the Mac or PCs that they offer. So it's definitely really great to just have handy on campus, which is really nice. But we also have some study rooms. As you can kind of see, we're scrolling around and you'll see a lot of tables. So there are definitely a lot of places where you can study with your friends, or if you want to study alone as well, you can also do that too. And we actually offer specific spaces that will have a different degree of silence. So if you need like a place to study where you just want absolute silence, no talking, we actually have a study room that is designated for that. So right here you can see the reading room, which is where a lot of people go if they don't want any sound at all. But if you're like me and you kind of do want a little bit of chatter here and there, you can go to different levels of the library and there will definitely be a lot more sound that's kind of allowed there. But yeah, just within the library, we also have some important resources, such as the Learning Center and the Writing Center. First, with the Learning Center, this is a great resource for our students in addition to accommodation for learning disabilities and also offering tutoring services. The Learning Center will also advocate for you in times of emergency. So for example, just to kind of explain that a little, I had a friend freshman year who ended up getting a concussion from one of the intramural games that he was involved with. And so obviously with that and being bedridden, he wasn't able to continue his studies, wasn't even able to kind of get up a lot of the time. So what he did was he actually contacted the Learning Center, and they were able to kind of be that communicative bridge between him and his professors and make sure that he was still on track and would have his assignments without getting docked off, since obviously he wasn't able to work on it. So the Learning Center is definitely really great. And we also have the Writing Center within the library as well. Here at Biola, we recognize that college is very essay heavy. So you'll definitely be writing a lot of papers, but the Writing Center is such a great resource because what you can do is you can take your papers in there, make an appointment, and have someone look over it and give you the feedback that you need. So the Writing Center is just a really great free resource that students can take advantage of. You can make 3 appointments a week, all free, and have students from all types of majors who have been qualified for this position to look over your paper, and their whole goal is to get your paper a whole letter grade higher. So it's definitely just a really great resource we would encourage you guys to use. But that is a little bit about the resources within the library. Before we head out of the library, I do want to touch on a theme, which is the theme of light. And so with our library, you'll notice that a lot of the walls are actually made to be windows. And that just allows a lot of natural light to pour inside, which is just really great within the daytime. It just allows for really open space to be studying in. And at night, the library is actually the brightest building in all of La Mirada. So that's just a little fun fact about just the kind of role the library plays within our area. But the theme of light does go beyond the physical aspects of our building. And actually, you'll notice on the outside of the library, there are the words, "I am the light of the world," written across the entrance. And going into the library, those are the words you see. But going out of the library, it's actually flipped to say, "You are the light of the world." And that just kind of goes on to speak about the mission statement that Michael mentioned before, of how Biola really aims to equip students not only in the professional fields, but also to be lights of the world as Jesus has called us, and to reflect Jesus in that. So definitely just really great symbolism we have here in the library, and also just a great reminder that we get to see tangibly as we walk in and out. But that's a little bit about the library. Now we're going to go and actually jump over to the Biola Bell Tower, which is just kind of a really great icon that we have on campus. As you can see, it is that kind of red structure that's coming up right here with the 5 bells. But something I love about this stop is that it's actually a very historical stop. So to begin, Biola was founded in 1908 on the corner of 6th and Hope Street. And these 5 bells that you see right here were actually taken, and we were able to move them from our original location. So Biola did move to La Mirada in 1959, so we're no longer in downtown LA. But having these 5 bells here is just a really great symbol of us staying true to our mission, even despite the move, and even after 100 years, Biola is still staying true to their mission. Again, like Michael mentioned before, of just really aiming to produce students that are not just ready for their academic fields and professional fields, but also to impact the world for the Lord Jesus Christ. So we love that tangible reminder that we get through the bells. The bells also are fully functional and actually ring 3 times a day. And that is to symbolize the chapels that we hold on campus. So they ring 3 times at 9, noon, and 5. And again, with the chapels, we actually offer a great range of different chapels. So we do recognize that students like to learn and worship differently. And that is something I personally love as a student with Biola's chapel department. They offer chapels that are prayer focused, a full 45-minute prayer, praise and worship chapel. And they also have chapels that kind of incorporate a little bit of both, where they'll have worship in the beginning and then a message, and then also a little bit of worship at the end. But our chapels are really great. Personally, 2 of my favorite chapels are Singspiration, or Sing Spo for short. And that is the 45-minute praise and in worship chapel that we have on Sunday nights. And that's just a really great way to kind of end off the weekend and start the new week by coming together and worshiping the Lord together. So it's definitely a really great chapel that I personally love. We also have After Dark, which is a student-led chapel that occurs on Wednesday nights in Sutherland Hall. And this is just a really great chapel because it's kind of the middle of the week, and it's just a really great midpoint to kind of stop and reflect and come together in community and learn together. But again, as I mentioned, this chapel is in Sutherland Hall, which is the brick building to the left of this bell tower. And Sutherland is a really great building that we have here on campus too. They actually have not only just chapels in there, but also classes and two important resources. So within Sutherland Hall, we actually have academic advising and also career development. First with academic advising, students will meet with their academic advisors every semester. And this is just a great way of kind of getting connected with someone who's a full-time faculty member in your department, and also just making sure that you're on track to graduate, taking the classes that you need, and also just getting some feedback for what kind of classes maybe you should take that semester and what you should save for later. So I personally love just talking to my academic advisor. I feel that it has been really helpful to just have someone to talk to about the different classes that I'm taking, and also just what classes might be a better combination to take each semester. And within academic advising, they can also help you explore different majors and minors, and yeah, just really prep you for the rest of the time that you're at Biola. They have this really great service called graduation plans, and you can actually go in there and talk to an academic advisor and just kind of talk or schedule all of the different classes that you should take every single semester. So I actually did that during the time that I was at Biola, or I still am at Biola, but I actually scheduled an appointment and got that done. And it was really nice because every time registration came around, I didn't have to kind of scramble and think about which classes I wanted to take. All I had to do was look at my graduation plan and yeah, just follow the classes that were there. So that's a really great department we have. Next door, we also have the career development, and career development is also a great resource for students. They can help you find internships, jobs, and they can also prep you for those jobs as well. So they have mock interviews that you can kind of sign up for and just get ready for interviews. And they can also look over your resumes and your cover letters as well. But this resource is actually really great because it's actually free for Biola students even after graduation. So even after you're done with Biola and you're out in the real world doing life, you can actually still come back anytime and receive all of those services. So we definitely encourage you guys to do that as well. One thing that I did forget to mention, however, within academic advising is we also have study abroad advising in that department. So studying abroad, if any of you guys are really interested, I definitely encourage you to take advantage of that. But we actually offer 17 semester-long study abroad programs, and we also have some study USA programs as well. But this is just a really great way to continue your studies while going overseas or being in a different location and kind of, yeah, just continuing to just expand your horizons and gain different experiences. So within that department, again, like I mentioned, we have study abroad programs and also study USA programs. Some of the popular ones include a London trip or a London study abroad program, also Ecuador, and we also have one in Tokyo, Japan. So we would definitely encourage you guys to go to our website and look at the different programs that we offer, because that could be a really great experience for you. And the last little thing about Sutherland Hall is that this is actually the oldest building that we have here on campus. So when Biola moved to La Mirada in 1959, a lot of aspects of student life actually took place in this one building. Students ate in there, had classes in there, had chapels in there. And it's just kind of crazy to think about all of these things happening in this one building. But over time, Biola was able to expand to the 95 acres that we're on today. So student life is a bit more spread out now. But a really great comparison we get to see is a comparison in between our oldest building, Sutherland Hall, and our newest building, the Lymph Center, which is the one that we were just at and Anna was kind of talking us through at. But if we kind of pivot back toward the Lymph Center, we'll see a few surrounding offices that are also really important. First, we have the Office of Registrar and Financial Aid, and those are actually right across from the library. It's a little difficult to see here, but again, like I mentioned, it's right across from the library and kind of yeah, in that area where the cursor is. Thank you, Michael. But first with the registrar, this is a great academic aid for our students. They can help with anything with your academic credits, major and minor changes. They can help you with that as well. And also just ordering transcripts, or when you're registering for classes, they can help you kind of get into the classes that you need. And right next door, we have our Office of Financial Aid. This is an office we really love to talk about on this tour. And I also encourage you guys to reach out to as well. But this is really important to us because as a student who was in your guys' place not too long ago, I know that the sticker price for Biola can be quite daunting. But I hope that it serves as an encouragement to you to know that 90% of Biola students actually don't pay that sticker price. In fact, this office gives out $60 million worth of financial aid every single year. And we also offer scholarships from $8,000 to $20,000 in financial aid. So we definitely really encourage you guys to get in touch with your counselors and kind of see that financial aid opportunities that could be available for you. But those are those two offices. And the last office that we have is the Health Center. And it is this kind of yeah, this building right here by the trees that Michael's pointing out. But our health center is pretty straightforward. This is where you would go in case you were ever to get sick or injured. We actually have another tour guide on staff who last year while we were training, he unfortunately sprained his ankle. And so he was able to go into the health center and they wrapped him up, gave him a wheelchair and also gave him crutches just to kind of give him everything that he needed so that he could still go about his day as a student. But our health center, they just have the nicest people. They honestly are just so great, you guys. And also just so easy to talk to and kind of schedule appointments with. But in our health center, we also have a self-serve section along the wall. And this is really cool because if you are ever in need of Band-Aids or thermometers or anything really that you might need, you can actually go to the health center and just grab it on your way back to your dorm or on your way to class instead of going off campus and trying to find somewhere. So yeah, that's a little bit about our health center. I know that was kind of a lot of information, but does anyone have any questions before we move on? And feel free to drop them in the chat as well. If not, we can go ahead and
I had a question.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So I was just wondering, how long would you say it takes from the dorms to get to your classes?
Yeah, that is a great question. So I actually lived on upper campus and a lot of my classes were kind of towards lower campus. So for me personally, it took me probably about 15 minutes to walk to class. And the other tour guides, you feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe to get from one point to the other end of campus, it would probably take about 15 or 20 minutes. So yeah, it's Biola's campus. It's super easy to kind of get from place to place. And a lot of students will actually also bring scooters onto campus too. So it's also just a fun way to kind of take a break from walking and get to your other class.
Nice. And then I had one more question. Are freshmen allowed to have their own car, like in your parking garage?
Yeah, that's a great question. Freshmen are allowed to have cars on campus, yes.
Oh, thank you.
Of course. Yeah, do we have any other questions before we move on?
Yeah, right now with the whole COVID situation, do you happen to know if next semester is going to be online or if it's going to be in class?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I believe at the moment, we actually are preparing to go back onto campus, which is really exciting. And so at the moment, that is the plan. And we will definitely be giving out updates if anything were to change. But at the moment, we are preparing to go back onto campus. Great. Well, if we don't have any other questions, we can move on to the CAF.
All right, thank you, Rachel Ann. So after covering all those heavy topics about statistics and the history about Biola, it's always nice to have a little break, and we're gonna have some fun, and we're gonna talk a little bit about the best topic out there, which is food. So this is the Biola Caf, or the cafeteria. So here at Biola, you'll get a sense that we like to shorten every single word if we can. So everyone here at Biola, we call it the Caf, and it is one of the best buildings on campus. So as we go inside and we take a bigger look, let's go ahead down here. It's more like a food court style, which with a whole bunch of different stations going from grills, from a salad bar, to a granary, to ethnic food, to home style food, to pizza, 24/7. And it's just a really great opportunity for our students to come and hang out with friends and just get a meal with each other. So our CAF is one of 6 different eateries that we do have on campus. And the way that you get in is through the station here and with your food swipes. So now each student has the opportunity to choose a meal plan for themselves, ranging anywhere from 5 to 20 meals a week, depending on how much you eat. And each swipe, you swipe once when you walk in the door, and you can stay in the cafeteria for as long as you want. So if you want to come in 8 a.m. and not leave till 8 at night, you're able to do that, and that only counts as 1 swipe. I know a lot of students, if they like to study in more noisy environments, they come to the CAF, and they just thrive off of the atmosphere that we have here. Now, we are catered by Bon Appetit, which is the nation's largest catering service, which is really cool because there's a great variety of food that our students are able to get, and they also cater towards special dietary needs. So if you have something that's gluten-free or lactose-free, they're able to set up a special meal for you and put it on the side. We do have our own separate stations, and you're able to have meetings with the CAF workers, and they'll be able to set up a meal for you on the side to help you with your dietary restrictions. Like I said, we do have the meal plans that range anywhere from 5 to 20 meals, and an extra option that you could add on that is flex dollars. Now these are like campus cash that go on your ID that you're able to spend at any of our other campus eateries. We do have different ones like Heritage, which is inside our library. And these is awesome because when you're up late, their hours are the same hours as our library. So you can come get coffee. They serve Starbucks coffees, bagels, and a lot of great things here. And a lot of our students really like coming here in between classes. And another one is our cafe in Blackstone. And the best part about this one is that it has its very own crepe station, which a lot of our students like coming here for breakfast. And it's really cool that you go from your dorm and just go downstairs and grab some crepes. But yeah, that's just a little bit about our CAF and our eating here at Biola. And as we turn around, this is our theater conservatory, but we're gonna go here real quick and go here, and we're gonna show you our mailing parcels. So this right here, the small building in the middle is our mailing parcel. So each one of our students are given a mail slot where they're able to receive mail and send out mail for free. And what's really cool about this is that a lot of our students like ordering off of the Amazons, getting either books, dorm decorations, or anything that they like. They're able to put in the school's address and get it sent straight to their mailing parcel. And as soon as it comes, they get an email, and they're able to come and pick it up at the school. I know a lot of parents like to send care packages here too, so you're able to get them here at the Maryland slot. We also do have our own USPS stop on campus where students are able to send packages at a discounted price. So this is good if they're sending back books or things to and from home, and it's just another really great resource for our students. But now we're going to talk about something that's really fun, which is our housed in our Chase Gymnasium. So this is where all of our sports are. We are in NCAA Division II PAC West, and with 16 collegiate sports, which is something that's really fun because if you want to get into the college spirit and cheer on your college athletes, it's just a great experience to go to a basketball game and just cheer on our Biola students against competing schools. So here in our gymnasium, we house our collegiate sports. And the best thing about this is that if you're athletic, but you're not quite on the collegiate level, we do have our intramural sports that range from 3 different leagues from A to C. So A being is I played all 4 years in high school. I am the best, and you want to be super competitive. But C being you can't tell the difference between a basketball and a soccer ball. So we really have everything for everyone. So if you really want to just have fun, that would be more like in C League, or if you want to be competitive, you can go more into the A League. But the best part about this is that you're able to create a community around your team and get to know other students better through this. So another really great thing that we do have is our Biola Fitness Center. Now, this is one of the spots that I really do like because you're able to come here if you don't want to pay for the gym premium memberships around campus. You're able to come to our fitness center for 100% free and ensure that you're not only mentally healthy, but physically healthy as well. Now, this photo is a little bit outdated because we did just newly renovate this room, but it all has this pretty much the same stuff, anywhere from all your basic cardio machines, from your bikes to your ellipticals, to your treadmills, all the way over to your free weights and other weighted machines. So this is just another place, and they're open from like 6 in the morning to midnight, and they're really, really a great place and a great resource for our student. Yeah, but this was a little bit break from the big stops. And so do we have any questions before we move on in our tour?
I have a question for
Yeah.
your library slash CAF. What are the hours?
That's a good question.
Just
Jermaine, do you
estimate.
know?
It depends on the day. So yeah, weekdays will be longer hours, and then weekends will have a little bit more limited hours.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And if we have any other questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. And we're just going to go ahead and move on.
Perfect. I'll take over from here. So the next stop, we're going to talk a little bit about dorm life. And I see some of you guys did drop questions about dorms, which I'll make sure to answer during this stop. But the stop we're in front of is our Horton Dormitory. This is actually one of 8 of our campus dorms on campus. And so we actually have 2 styles of dorms, one style being a community style and the other being a suite style. So with a community style, you'll have a large group of rooms that will share one bathroom. And then on the flip side, you have the suite style, which is kind of like a Jack and Jill style. So there's 2 to 4 rooms that would share one bathroom. And so the big differences between those bathrooms is that with the community style is being shared with multiple people, a larger amount of people, but it's cleaned Monday through Friday by a trained specialist. And then Saturday and Sunday, we'll have someone come in and get all the trash out of the main lobby areas. But then with the suite style, you'll have a trained specialist come in once or twice a month. So a lot of the cleaning is required by the student. But depending on if you like a more personalized space, I would recommend a suite style. But if you like to like wake up in the morning and brush teeth next to one of your roommates or something in the bathroom or someone down the hall, I recommend a community style. But no matter what style of dorm that you opt in for, you'll have an RA and an RD. RAs are resident advisors. They're kind of like big brothers, big sisters that live on your floor. They're here to like promote tradition, rituals, just do fun things with the other students. And so our group, we used to do boys to men. So we used to worship together on the top parking structure my freshman year. Sister floor trash is probably our most popular and our oldest tradition that we would do on Sundays. And so the ladies on the 4th floor, they'll put their trash outside their door and we'll run through and grab their trash, like usually singing some worship song. And so it was just like a way to give back to our sisters in Christ, even though like we couldn't sing well at all. But RAs will do different things with their group of students, but the RAs work alongside the RDs, which are resident directors. They are adults, usually with their masters in sociology or psychology, but they live inside the dorms. And so they oversee anything that takes place in the dorm as well. So any event that is promoted by the RA or any policy that has changed, they make sure to promote community tradition. But they also come alongside the RAs once every 2 months to put on a all hall, which is basically a gigantic dorm-wide event. Horton is known for throwing a slip and slide between the trees as one of their all halls in the spring. Blackstone, we usually do a talent show and then like kind of a cookout at the end of the year as well. So every dorm will do something different just for you to get outside your normal floor throughout the week and just meet people that also live inside your dorm that you don't necessarily get to meet every day. But that is kind of like the dorm-wide events. We do have campus-wide events as well. So the most popular in the fall is Nation Ball. So it is dorm versus dorm dodgeball competition. So every dorm like crams out in a different color. Horton dresses up in black. Alpha, which is next door, they dress up in pink. And basically we cram out Chase Gymnasium and we throw balls at each other in the name of Jesus. And so by the end of the night, we crown a nation ball champ, and so it is such a cool event to be a part of. But it's actually our second largest event. Our largest event is actually in the spring, which is mock rock. So if you could imagine High School Musical but exclude all the trauma, that is literally what mock rock is. This is 50 to 40 student teams, and they literally have these big old skits and props, and it is literally a gigantic lip sync battle. So it is just fun ways just to take a few days off of classes and just focus on each other's talents, and just have fun as a Christian community united, which is super fun. But that is something that we do campus wide. We're also in a really great location as well. And so as an Ohio boy, I love the weather here in California. So it's always sunny. And so we are located on the border of Orange County and LA County. And so some of the things that I love to mention where we're located is we're super close to the beach. We're actually close to a plethora of different beaches. And we're about an hour and a half from my favorite beach, which is the Malibu beach. We are super close to thrift stores and eateries. But most importantly, we are close to LA. And also we're close to so many different church communities. And so I like to tell students that if you want something that's similar to home, you can definitely find that in the cluster of communities that's around Biola. But also if you want to try something completely different than what's back home, you could definitely try that as well. And that's been my experience as traveling to a church that is close to Biola. But that's a little bit about our community and some of the things that we're surrounded by. I also love to talk about safety on this stop. And so Biola is consistently ranked as one of the safest schools in California. And I think that is due to, number one, Christian schools tend to be safer, but also our head of campus safety team is Chief O. He is actually an ex-Olympic Nigerian runner. And so we like to say that no one can outrun Chief O, but no one like ever tries. But Chief O is a very diligent worker. He has placed a lot of different significant resources that we can utilize as Biola students to be safe. And so we have a text and email notification system. So if something is happening on campus or surrounding campus, you will be the first to be notified on your phone via email and text. We have blue light stations outside of all of our dorms. So if you don't have your phone or something with you and there is an emergency, you can run up and tap that as well. All of our dorms are locked 24/7. So you do need your student ID card to get inside your dorm. And then after 11 p.m., you can only use your own student ID card to get inside your dorm. So that's another thing. We have 2 entrances on the opposite sides of our campus as well. And so in order to get inside of those, you do need to tap your student ID card as well. So we have a lot of different safety parameters put up on campus. But the last thing I love to mention is that we're literally right across the street from the fire and police department. So we do have a 2-minute response time. And so during the summer, you'll see them running their drills, just getting acclimated to the campus and the culture and the community here to make our campus more safe for our students. And so that's a little bit about dorm life. I know there was a few questions dropped in, and so I did want to answer the one question that I saw about dorms. And so how are roommates selected? And so there's 2 different ways roommates can be paired up. The first way could be random. And so you'll fill out a living situation form, like what time do you wake up? What time do you go to sleep? Do you pass gas in your sleep? Just like random questions about living, and they'll pair you up with another person with a similar living style. And then on the other side, let's say you meet someone during a Biola bound, or you meet someone while you're at Target or something that is also coming to Biola, you can opt to live with that person. And so that's how the roommate selection process works, other those 2 ways. So yeah, that concludes our dorm stop. I'll actually hand it off for our next tour guide to talk about our floor fountain.
Awesome. Yeah. So we're going to continue talking about different ways that you can get involved on campus. But before we want to talk about that, we just want to talk about this area that is here in the center of campus. So this is our floor fountain of faith. I actually recently just learned that there's actually symbolism behind floor fountain, and so the idea is you can kind of see these letters that are in these like little squares around the fountain. Those are actually a compass, so it has an N, an S, a W, and an E. And so the idea is floor fountain of faith. While we're at Biola, our faith is at this place where we're just growing and overflowing with that, and we are supposed to take that outside of campus and not keep it in a bubble. So anyway, that's a little side note. But yeah, so this is just in the center of campus and great place to study. We have really good campus-wide Wi-Fi, so that's why we are able to study out here under the nice Southern California sun. Another thing that is really unique to this particular area of campus is our Jesus mural, and I wish we had a bigger picture of it so you could see it up close, but that is okay. This is what we have, so we're going to work with it. And so there's a lot of symbolism that went into this mural. So this mural was actually donated by a super well-known LA artist named Kent Twitchell, and he actually came to faith after listening to a Biola radio show. And so he donated this mural to Biola just to kind of show his gratitude for the work that Biola was doing in furthering the kingdom. And yeah, so we just want to talk a little bit about his heart behind this mural and the different artistic things that he did. So it's a little bit hard to see in this picture because it is so small, but if you are ever on campus and you get a chance to see it, you would notice that the skin on his hands and face is the same color as the pages of the Bible. So that is to show or to artistically demonstrate John 1:14, which says, "The Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us." And so that's one way that this is seen in this mural. Another way that this is seen is because this mural is literally in the exact geographic center of our campus. And so that's something that just kind of goes to show, like, geographically he's in the center, but also in terms of our learning and our growing in our faith, Jesus is at the center of everything we do, and he is the reason why we are even studying whatever it is we're studying in the first place. So that's just a really good tangible reminder for our students. And then you'll also notice there's two shadows in the background who represent the Father and the Holy Spirit, and that just goes to show Biola's Trinitarian beliefs and just the role that God has in our lives in those three persons. So that's a little bit about the mural. I also want to talk a lot about the offices that are in our student union building. So again, another shorthand, we call our student union building the sub, and all of the offices that are in the student union building we also call by an acronym. So get ready, we're about to throw a lot at you. You don't have to remember it all, but we're just going to give you a little crash course into Biola slang right now. So the first office we want to talk about is SGA, and that stands for Student Government Association, and this is made up of our student body president and vice president, as well as all of our dorm senators. And so they do such a good job making Biola students' voices heard and expressing student needs and wants. And so they've done so many different things for our campus. Outside of the sub, on the lawn out there, there's actually now hammock poles because a lot of the trees on Biola's campus are very old and not safe to hammock in, but we have a very large community here at Biola that loves to hammock. So that was SGA's response to that, and we have safe places to hammock now. We also, thanks to SGA, have chocolate milk machines in the CAF. We have ice machines in some of our dorms, and so many other things that they have done for our student body too. So that's just a little bit about SGA. If you're really interested in student government, that is a great way to get involved. We also have the Office of Campus Engagement, and they oversee all of our clubs on campus. So my personal favorite club is Adventure Club, but there are so many different clubs that you can get involved in. Pretty much whatever you're interested in, there is a good chance that we will have a club for it. We even have a hide and seek club. We have a spike ball club, so many different things. And yeah, if there is a club that you are interested in starting and you know a group of people who would want to be part of it, but there isn't actually one on campus, through Office of Campus Engagement, you can work to potentially start one of those. So that is super exciting. And campus engagement also oversees those two events that Jermaine was talking about, Nation Ball and Mock Rock. And they also are the ones that head up all of our new student orientation. And so if you decide to come to Biola, you're going to have a super fun week at the beginning of just getting oriented into Biola life and meeting new students and everything like that. And you have campus engagement to thank for all of the fun things that you will be doing. So yes, campus engagement is so fun. Super excited about the work they do on campus. And the last organization in here that we want to talk about is SMU, which stands for Student Missionary Union. And so this is actually the longest running and only missions organization of its kind in the United States. So it is entirely student run, which is so exciting. And we are so blessed to be able to actually have this program on Biola's campus. And so SMU does such a good job sending our Biola students all over the world. They'll do local trips to the greater LA area and go as far as places like Swaziland. My brother went on a trip through SMU to Swaziland, which is in the South Africa area. I have a friend that went on a trip to Costa Rica and so many other places as well. So if you do really have that heart for missions and global missions, SMU would be a great program for you to get involved in. And they also oversee our yearly missions conference that happens every spring. And missions conference is just a time where all of our students get 3 days of the week off and right alongside the weekend. And that is a time that is just entirely dedicated to learning more about missions. You get a break from school, and it's a super fun event. And so, yeah, that's one of the most anticipated events on Biola's campus. But yeah, so that's just a little bit about the offices that are in the sub. One other service that is in the sub is our Collegium. And so the Collegium is our resource for commuter students. And I've heard a lot of students kind of describe this, as you can see from these pictures. It kind of looks like the Grand Californian in Disneyland, just kind of that woodsy, very homey vibe. There's printers and computers in there, a lot of super comfy couches, a full-size kitchen, and so many different things. So this is basically our commuter students' home away from home on campus. And so if you decide that you do want to commute, you don't have to worry about missing out on campus community, because there is a really good resource for you to find that good community in the Collegium. So they'll do so many different events and Bible studies and potlucks and things like that that are specific to commuter students. And so Michael's actually a commuter student too, so he could probably tell you a little bit more if you have any questions about commuting. But yeah, so we're actually about to head off to the last stop of the tour. If you do have any questions, feel free to just keep dropping them in the chat and we will try to get to them before the tour ends.
Yeah, so this last stop is by far my favorite stop, just because I have been a part of a lot of things that have taken place inside of this building. So what you're looking at is the Mosaic Cultural Center. And so here at Biola, we do recognize that God created us in his image, but very diverse in very specific ways. And so we have a building catered and dedicated to diversity and inclusion. And so on campus, we recognize that the transition from high school into college is such a big jump for so many students. And so imagine traveling from Zimbabwe or Italy out of the country into an American college system. So on campus, we have 600 different international students representing over 50 different countries. And so we've created GSPD, which is Global Student Development and Global Student Programming and Development. And so they are literally put in place to get resources for our students who may be coming and traveling from outside the country into an American college system. And so rather that's finding a job or applying for visas or just helping them transition into the Biola community in general. And so they do a lot of different things with partnering with Seed. My favorite thing they do is a taste of culture. And so on Sycamore Lawn, there was literally tables of food. And so each food represents a different culture. And so I love food and I love culture. So if you put that together, it's such a beautiful thing. But you can literally walk up and taste these different foods and talk about and ask about how was it prepared? Where did it originate from? What's the significance of this meal? And so that has just been really, really rewarding for students on campus through these resources. But on the flip side of the Mosaic Cultural Center, we have two different offices. The first one being the Office of Imago Dei, which translates to Image of God. They do all of our diversity training for our faculty, our staff, and our student leaders. But they also do run our SCORE conference, which is Student Congress on Race and Reconciliation. It is the largest conference on racial reconciliation amongst Christian schools and universities. And so it is such a beautiful event because we have some of our own professors pour into this topic that has been all over our media for decades. And so how do we dissect that as a Christian community? What does the Word of God say about diversity, inclusion, and racial reconciliation? And so it's such an amazing opportunity and conference to be a part of. The last office within the Mosaic Cultural Center is known as SEED, which is Student Enrichment and Intercultural Development. Underneath it is a plethora of different resources for our students. The first one being the First Gen Scholars Program. And so I am a First Gen Scholar on Biola's campus. And so you are considered a First Gen student if your parents never obtained a Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Science degree, or your parents obtained a degree outside the United States, because we do recognize that the two systems are different. And so with the First Gen program, you do obtain a scholarship renewable all 4 years, and then a mentor, 3 different mentors your first year to mentor you throughout the process of being a First Gen student. Another program that we have through the SEED is LEAD, which is Leaders Engaging in Advancing Diversity. These are students who are passionate about diversity and inclusion and want to pour into that on campus through leadership opportunities. And so you'll be in a small cohort of other LEAD scholars, and you will also take a class your first semester with that cohort as well. And so it's an amazing resource. If you're passionate about diversity and inclusion, I recommend applying. The last two things within the Mosaic Cultural Center is affinity groups. And so affinity groups are small cultural groups that meet. And so these are for students who really want to be ministered or mentored by people from similar backgrounds or ethnic backgrounds as well. And so we have one that I'm a part of, which is ISI, which is Iron Sharpens Iron. And so we're a small group of African-American males and faculty that literally get together and just talk about culture and diversity and food and history. And so we have affinity groups for almost every ethnic minority on campus. And it's really cool because we're open as well. So you're allowed to just come in and check in and just learn about other communities and cultures as well. And so the Mosaic Cultural Center offers so much more resources. That's only like a snippet of what they offer. But I love concluding and wrapping up at the Mosaic Cultural Center because, again, God created us very unique with a multitude of different languages and passions and gifts. And so if Biola is the place for you, if God is calling you to Biola and your talents and your gifts, come run. We love to have you. But also if God is calling you somewhere else, go, because God, his plan is perfect. His plan is perfect always, and he will continuously be with you, supporting you and blessing you through the process of this college journey. And so that concludes our tour. We'll be here a little bit after if you guys have questions. I also know there were some questions dropped into the chat that we'll also try to answer while we're here. Okay, ooh, we got a lot of great questions. So there was a question: why would someone choose Biola over other Christian schools? Ooh, that's a good question. So I think, this is the first thing. There's a lot of Christian schools just all over America. So location, oftentimes majors can be an important thing. Some universities don't allow certain, for example, one of the things that comes to my mind is nursing. So we allow our nursing students to be NCAA Division II athletes. on campus. So that's often a reason why students come to Biola, which is one of many Christian schools over other Christian schools. There are a lot of resources as well. One of the things that drew me was the Mosaic Cultural Center. A lot of universities in general don't have that, with the focus on diversity and inclusion in a biblical way, that I just found, I don't know, it was just different, you know? When I found out about that resource, it just blew my mind after visiting other college campuses that are Christian. So that was something that stood out to me. But other than that, like, a lot of Christian schools offer a lot of amazing resources. And so I personally just felt, I hate to sound cliche, but I felt called to Biola. And so that's why I chose it over all the other universities. And so when I stepped onto campus, I prayed about it, and I asked God, what do I need to do? And so Biola had resources that I needed in my life. One of the resources that comes to mind that I know a lot of schools don't have is the BCC. So we have the Biola Counseling Center. So we literally charge $20, which, if you know, like, the process of counseling is like hundreds of dollars an hour. For them to charge $20 an hour for students to get that resource, spiritual development, if you are struggling in your spirituality, in your relation with Christ, you can literally set up meetings with them as well. Like, we have so many resources that focus on academic growth, spiritual growth, mental growth as well. So there's a lot of reasons that, of course, we don't talk about on the tour, but if we can literally talk about all day, but that's the first things that kind of pop up in my mind after hearing that question.
Yeah, I kind of want to add on to that question as well too, Jermaine. But thank you again for asking that question. I think that's really great. I think for me personally, another thing in addition to all of the resources that Biola offered, I think that the Biblical Studies minor was something that really drew me specifically, just because I know that's very unique to Biola's program. And yeah, I personally just really appreciate having the Bible minor, because one, it just really speaks to, again, like the mission that Biola is aiming to do for our students, of equipping us to do ministry in whatever field we may be finding ourselves in. But also, I think that the biblical studies courses have really transformed not only my personal knowledge of the Bible and of scripture, but also just my own personal devotional life as well. I feel like I feel much more comfortable now to pick up a Bible and be able to ask questions and look at different resources for what this passage might be talking about contextually. And I feel like just being able to kind of have a foundational knowledge of historical and cultural context too within scripture, I think has just been so beneficial, and something that I don't know, I've really appreciated that Biola encourages for all students, regardless of what your major is. So I feel like that was another thing that really kind of helped me in my decision in wanting to choose Biola. But I also, other tour guides, feel free to answer that question as well. But I do want to point out a question that says, from Anna, how is the kinesiology program at Biola? And Michael, since you're a kinesiology major, I figured you'd probably like to answer that.
Yeah, so I put a little bit about that in the chat. So I am a kinesiology major. I am with an emphasis in pre-physical therapy. And I have to say, I really do love our kinesiology program. Our professors are very hands-on with their material, so you're not stuck reading a book the entire time. And kinesiology is such a cool topic because it's about the movement of the human body. So in class, there's we take a whole bunch of breaks to do examples on ourselves to see how weird learning implements into our bodies and how we're able to put that into the field. So often in classes, your professors will say, okay, we're going to take a break. Everyone stand up and we're going to practice abduction or adduction, just to really drill home the different learning of the different vocabulary, since there is so much. There's also a lot of great research opportunities for our students, because a lot of our faculty still works in the field that they teach in. So they are looking for research partners within students. So you're able to sign up with those for your class. It's actually a graduation requirement to be a part of one or two research opportunities. So yeah, that's just a little bit about our kinesiology program, as well as we do have this giant movement lab that is exclusive only to kinesiology majors, where you're able to have a whole bunch of different equipment to really study how the body is moved. But yeah, that's a little bit about our kinesiology program.
Oh, Esther, I see you had a question about will things be different in the fall? So yeah, with us moving fully in person on campus next semester, yes, of course, things will look a little bit different. Of course, it's like some classes that may be a little bit larger will definitely change. There will be like mandatory 2-week testing for those who haven't been already vaccinated. So Biola has been handing out vaccinations for students, which has been such a big blessing that I could just go on campus and get that done. But for those who won't be vaccinated in the next um, fall, so Biola doesn't make it mandatory for students to be vaccinated as well, which is also another blessing for those who don't want to get vaccinated. You will just, again, have that mandatory testing every 2 weeks. On the other side, so normally we will have 2 people per dorm rooms, but in the fall, sometimes we typically have 1 to 3 people rooms as well. So Hope and Horton will offer 3-person rooms. Those will no longer be a thing. So we'll only have 2 people per room. And then also some of the apartments will be different capacity as well. So those are some of the things that they have already stated that will a little bit change. But other than that, we don't really know if there's going to be more things implemented for the next school year. Yeah, and guys, we'll be here a little bit after. So for all of those who don't have questions or and like, oh, I have something to do and I can't stay, feel free to jump out. You are good to go. But for those who do have questions, you can stay and keep asking your questions.